Dear friends, welcome to Asian Literary Society and Journal of Asian Art, Culture and Literature presentation, 8th Vibrant Asia Symposium. Today we have 6 erudite writers along with us who will be presenting their articles on very interesting topics. So without further delay, I would like to introduce today's moderator and participant, Dr. Lalita Vathishwaran. So I'd like to quickly mention about Lalita ji. Lalita Vathishwaran is a gynecologist having a passion for writing in both Hindi and English. She has authored 3 books of poetry and is part of many anthologies across the globe. She has been the recipient of many awards and accolades for her writing ventures. She has a keen interest in music, and foremost Lalita Vathishwaranji is a regular contributor to Asian Literary Society. So now I will be going off the screen and I will be requesting Lalita ji to proceed with this session.
Thank you, Manojji, for that very nice introduction. A very good evening to all of you. I'm Dr. Lalita Vaitishwaran, and I'm honored to be hosting this 8th Vibrant Asian Symposium. The Asian Literary Society, in conjunction with JAACL, the Journal of Asian Art, Culture and Literature, aims in promoting Asian art, culture, literature, and also provides a platform where scholars and academicians share their profound knowledge on Asia, its countries, and its rich heritage. We are all appreciative of the efforts of ALS and JASCL in bringing out the diversity in cultures and art forms in Asia, whilst at the same time uniting us through many commonalities. It is my proud privilege to introduce the esteemed guests present here, who are all eminent writers and exponents of art and culture. My first guest for today is Ms. Vandana Saxena. Her article is on knowing Sita from the perspective of Bali. I will just take a few minutes to introduce the guest. Ms. Vandana Saxena is a soft skills trainer and HR professional. She is also a content writer, author, and blogger. Welcome, Ms. Vandana Saxena. The stage is yours. And I'm sure
Thank
we are all
you.
keen on knowing the other versions of Ramayana from you.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lalita, for having me here. It is indeed a pleasure to share about Sita, what I have written. So, yes, I think we talk about women empowerment. We talk about, a lot of stuff. We talk about equality. We talk about pay parity. We talk about a lot of things. So, being women, we go through, gender biases all through our lives. So when we are born, we teach our girls to be softer, kinder, gentler, which is all subservient to the other gender. But I guess if we look back in mythology, we have characters like Sita and Draupadi and Shrupnaka, who are actually their epitome of power and persona. So Sita, being a single mother, she raised her 2 children, and that's what I have spoken about in my article. It talks about that what we know Sita Mata, to be precise, as the softer version of Sita. So we know her that she has been waiting for Ram, Maryada Purushottam Ram, to come and rescue her from Ravan. But in the Balinese version of Ramayan, we see the other colors of Sita, where she is not depending on a man to rescue her, but she's fighting with asuras in Ravana's Lanka. So that's what the journal is all about. That how do we perceive Sita, or how do we look Sita from the perspective of from the perspective of Bali? So we have this Kaka Wind Ramayan, which is called uh, which is popular, which is the Balinese version of Ramayan, right? Where we have, the first half is identical to the events and the incidents. Everything is identical to what we have in Ramayan. The difference is that we see characters differently, the women characters differently. We see Srupnakha as a woman who was not shy of making an advance to the man. So all of that we have spoken about. right? So this is what my version of. So if if we read and go back to mythology and read all these characters, we understand that women have always been the epitome and of power. They have always been power packed. So I don't think so we should talk about women empowerment. So maybe we have to think backwards and think that we are equal to men, not better than them. So that's what I tried to make a point in the journal.
Absolutely, absolutely. And your article was, it took me to, reading so many other articles on Indian Ramayana. And if anyone has any question to ask, they are welcome. And I have a few questions to ask you so that you can uh, give more insight into the Balinese version. You have written about a very novel perspective about Sita, which is in total contrast to the Indian version. Because in Indian version, the picture that has been painted about Sita is of a person who needs rescuing from Rama, as you just said. So, as
Mhm.
a follower of the Valmiki Ramayana, do you subscribe to the Balinese version?
Yes, indeed, I do. I mean, that is why I think I subscribe to that more. Though when I got introduced to Ramayan, it was through Ramanan Sagar, if all of us remember, on Doordarshan. Before that, we used to attend those Sundarkand parts and the Ramayan part in our houses, and little bit did we understand that what it is all about, right? Or the Valmiki's Ramayana or whatever. So little bit did we understand about Sita. So we knew Sita as a mother, we knew Sita as a wife who sacrificed all her palaces and all her luxurious life to live or to follow the Stri dharma or the Nari dharma towards her husband. So when I grew up, I realized that was a choice. She had the courage to choose that. She had a freedom of choice. She didn't depend on a man saying that, okay, I need to take my choices, right? So she chose a man to get married to. So that was swayamar. In those those days, we didn't. If we talk about mythology, women had the right to choose their husbands. Nowadays, when I grew up, I will take it to this, that when I grew up and I had to get married to a man of my choice, my parents were not happy about it. They were like, no, why? Why will you do an intercaste marriage? And I was like, no, Sita could do it. Why can't I? Right? So it's like that. So those days, women had the choice. She made the choices. She chose a man to get married to. She made a choice of living in a forest with her husband, and that was a matter of choice. No, she was not forced into it. And then she chose to be a single mother. So yes, indeed, I subscribe to this because this is a matter of choices. So it's more about you make your choice. Making choices is easy, but how much do you stand with it? So she spent 14 years in exile with her husband just because she made a choice. So indeed, I subscribe to it, that the other version that we see in Balinese Ramayana, or what we call Kakavin Ramayana or Kichak performances, we see a power packed Sita who is able to make choices and stand by it. So there are, I think, many other
Absolutely.
characters. If you, yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
yes,
So in a way, actually, the Balinese version and the Indian version somewhere, I think they fuse and they meet because in the same time, the versions that Valmiki Ramayana gives in India is also says about the same thing. Also talks about Sita making her own choices of marrying Ram, of going to the forest, of leaving the luxury of the kingdom, etc., and of raising her children. So in a way, I think somewhere the two versions meet,
they do.
isn't it? Yeah,
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 they do. I mean, it is a
yeah.
replica. It's just that we look at, it's a
Yes,
perspective which is different,
which
right?
is
So we call
different.
it a Nari
Absolutely.
Dharma, and there
Yes,
they call it choice. So
call
this
it a
is a
woman power. Yes,
right.
absolutely.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. The perspective is different. The narration is not different. The
No.
Ramayana
Yes.
remains
Yes.
the same in both the versions, but it's just the
Both the
perspective
versions.
is different. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. It is. Yes. Okay.
Interesting.
So
It is.
your write up is actually giving a brave color to Sita as she's portrayed as a single mother raising her two kids. So how relevant is this in today's times, as per your thought?
Uh, I think I don't want to generalize anything here, but I think it's not only in India, it's across the globe. When a baby is born, it's mostly a mother's responsibility. I'm not trying to generalize anything. I mean, obviously, fathers are getting more and more involved with parenting and everything, because my father never went to my school for PTMs, but my husband goes to my daughter's school. So there is definitely a change. But let's just, in a larger perspective, if we talk about, parenting is more meant for mothers and less for fathers. Globally, it is not only in India; it is everywhere. I mean, there are few cases where you see fathers more involved than mothers, or maybe the vice versa. But yes, when it comes to parenting, being we relate it to today's time, because women are better than strength. We have more patience. We have
Yes, inner strength.
yeah, in every aspect we have more
Yes,
patience. We have more courage. We can, if we can deliver a baby, obviously we can raise the baby as well. But
yes,
when we talk about, and let me just tell you that, if there is a preemie baby, a female baby will survive than a male baby, and it's a fact. I mean, so females are born stronger, so we are
yes,
more patient, we are more we have more courage, we have more ability to handle something which is beyond control, because
diverse.
obviously a
Yes,
child, yes, which is diverse and beyond control, because parenting is diverse. I mean, there are no
yes,
set rules for parenting. So in
absolutely.
in in certain ways it becomes, a single parenting most of the time. So these are the busy days, either you have the father or you have the mother, or both of them are working. So
Working. Yes,
we spend time in turns. We
yes.
take turns to spend time with the child. I do that. I mean, I and my husband, we do that. So we take
Yes,
turns to spend the time with the child.
with the child. Yes, yes.
That, but
So
yes,
I think we all agree with what you said, and also that such strong mythological characters, they influence our lives too.
yeah, they
I think
do.
you also agree to it.
Agree. I completely agree that such strong mythological characters, they influence your life,
Lives.
influence your lives at a certain level, that a woman who could raise her two children alone and not depending on a man or for anything for that matter, and raised her into two wonderful princes of Ayodhya. Why can't a woman, we are
Do it.
more equipped to do that,
Yes,
obviously. So
yes,
yes, I completely relate it to present time. And
yes,
if we look at, there are a lot of single mothers who've been doing raising their children so well. We can talk about Sushmita Sen, we can talk about Shweta Tiwari. These are all celebrities who have been single mothers. So I don't think so. I mean, obviously we can relate it to like Neena Gupta. So there are some powerful mothers who have raised their child single-handedly and wonderful.
yes.
So
So thank you, Ms. Vandana, for that wonderful insight. And it was actually a thought-provoking article which led us into thinking on various lines and different perspectives of Sita. Thank you so much.
thank you, Dr. Lalita.
My second guest for the day is Miss Indrani Chaudhary, who has written about her views on Maldives. Miss Indrani is a modern Indian writer who was born and raised in Guwahati in Assam. She worked as a teacher before embracing writing as her chosen vocation. Her poems have been published in various magazines and anthologies. Her own book, Raining Drops of Rainbow Verses, got published in 2021. So, welcome, Indrani. You please unmute yourself first.
Ma'am,
Yes,
I'm just, what can I say, ma'am? I'm just an aspiring writer, poet who is trying to make a way in this big literary world in my own
yes,
way. And I have written about this article about Maldives because you see, after marriage, I have traveled to various countries along with my husband because he's an IT engineer. And not only because of that, he is also a great explorer. Okay, where he loves traveling, and at the same time, he goes along with his family. So at the same, what happened that in 2017, at that time my boy was not born. We went to Maldives, and believe me, ma'am, I have visited various countries, both at Asia as well as in Europe. But this was something. It was a unique experience for me visiting Maldives. It was. It took me to it was a different level experience for me because you see, ma'am, I mean, when you see it right from the beginning, I mean, the way they have, and the most important thing that struck me was that the way they handle this tourism culture. I mean, they have actively encouraged the government actively encourage how to bring the tourists from all over part of the all of from all over the world, and and they were really, I mean, you should see the hotel and hospitality business there, and I mean, they're thriving on it because they knew how to handle the, this mixed population of tourists. But they cater to your needs. They give you beautiful rooms, and the way they have kept their own country, it's an experience in itself. Because you see, we have lost that thing in various part of the world. I mean, you can see beauty at various of different varieties at various places, but I had not seen such pristine beauty anywhere. It's
Yes.
so I have, like, defined
And they
it
have
as
preserved and conserved it too.
yeah, they have conserved it. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So that's the thing that induced me to write about it when Manoj sir asked me to write about this an article for this.
Okay. You want to speak something more about Maldives and
Yes.
tell the viewers?
First of all, that I found is that all islands, instead of anything, like, they are very unique. I mean, in a sense that that means, suppose they are very unique in a sense that the culture may differ from island to island. Instead of the fact that they are Maldivians, but what we find is that, suppose this island have a different kind of cuisine which is not found in another island. So if you travel
Oh,
from one island to another, you may taste different kind of foods. But the souvenir, and you will find various kind of souvenir shops which are really money, which is an experience in itself, because when you enter them, you would find that I mean, the replica of a crocodile, then suppose an octopus, and what
okay.
not means. But it was a world altogether. Man, if you go to their its capital Malay, and if you see the souvenir shops, it would I mean, take you to a different world altogether. Means souvenir, I have seen souvenir shops everywhere, ma'am. I have also mentioned it in my own article. But here means the way they have conserved the souvenir shops, the way they maintain, it's very different. I mean, why now you will find that most of the, like, I mean, celebrities, they go to Maldives and all that. Not, I mean, they go for a reason, because I mean, it's really something that will. And at the same time, another thing that I want to say is, I mean. Of course, this is a tourism, but they have incorporated their own culture in the tourist business. I mean, wherever you would go, you would find that people, they are not something that promote. They are not promoting the Western culture, but at various islands, you would find that they are singing their own songs. They are having their own dances. I mean, by that thing, they are trying to attract the tourists. So it's a very,
Okay.
I mean, a very different kind of a thing. That, like, suppose you would not understand the language, but you would like the tune of the song, and the drum beatings, the everything. It's,
It's
I mean,
unique. This
in
is
a
what you want
starry
to say.
night, when you are sitting along with other people in a bonfire, it would take you to a different world.
World.
So
Okay. So
that
that
is
is why
another.
probably you have called Maldives as paradise of the world.
Yes, 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 ma'am. Yes.
It's because
That
of
is one
this.
thing. Another thing is that, as I've said, ma'am, that I have gone to various places, and there are different kind of beauties. But most of the time, what I found is that they have lost their virgin beauty. Okay, like it, but the places have been highly commercialized, or
Yes.
but or like various kind of other like other kind of interferences, like not mismanagement and all that, has marred the beauty of the place. But this is not in the case of Maldives. I mean, they know how to conserve it. They have kept the virgin beauty of their islands intact. So I have
Intact. Okay.
put them as the
So
paradise.
how do you contrast the activities mentioned? You have mentioned that they are largely tourist oriented people. So how do you contrast that with Indian tourist places?
See, ma'am, the first differences that comes is that because of the topography. Now, our country and their countries are very different, and the difference is also seen, is reflected in the tourism business too. Because you see, ma'am, if you go to different kind of states in India, you would find that at one point or the other, I mean, somewhere it is, you can go to the mountains, you can go to the lakes, somewhere it is the forest, somewhere it is the, like for forest or rivers or anything. But there, they have a specific, you would not find that kind of diverse tourism in Maldives. It is
Okay.
specifically tourism which is based on, islands, the island, that is island tourism, as well as exploring the Indian Ocean. That is basically one difference that I have seen. Secondly, is that, ma'am, I think in India, tourism is encouraged, but it is not the main thing in our economy. Every state has its own kind of tourism, but it is a part of our culture or a part of our economy. But it is not like agriculture or online, sorry, IT industries. These are the things which mainly generate jobs. And after that, after many such, like I mean, fields, tourism comes after that in India. But there, I mean, this is the, I mean, at Maldives, what I find is that that it is the main source of their livelihood, as well as, like, it is the only thing which generate jobs mostly. Very few Maldivians go outside and, they take other kind of jobs. They mostly, they were, raised as such, that if there are three or four children at a household, at least three would go for this tourism business, and one would do
Tourism.
something
Okay.
else.
Okay.
Yeah, this another difference. Secondly, ma'am, thirdly, I found that the ocean plays a very important role in their life. I mean, the entire tourism is based on how the ocean is, I mean, behaving with the island people. Like, if the ocean is disturbed and creating disturbance, then the tourism would be, I mean, if their tourism business gets, disturbed or something like that. And it's not the thing in India. What we find is that if we are not if something is, suppose if a forest is destroyed, okay, we have the rivers, we have the mountains, we have this, we have that. But they are very concerned about the ocean, because their entire livelihood is dependent on it, and they are
Dependent on the
very
ocean.
conscious
Yes.
people.
Yes.
Yes, and
That's right.
yes, that is another thing. And finally,
Yes.
what I saw, about the people is that the government is very concerned about, the government actively encourages and cooperates people to establish the startup business. So that is in tourism, because
Yes.
it knows that this is the only way to, I mean, to increase their economical benefits and all that. So that is not only in the in our country, because you see
Yes.
there are various sectors which are
Other
and
ways.
tourism, yes, and at various states, tourism is neglected. I mean, there are beautiful places, but they are not managed as well as we have seen, as I have seen in Maldives. So
So
these are the
thank you so
points.
much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Indrani ji. Yeah,
Yes,
and I'm
thank you.
sure we have all uh, virtually gone to Maldives and experienced the beauty of the way you explained it so beautifully. I'm sure all of us enjoyed the trip to Maldives, virtually at least. Yes, thank
I
you
would
so much.
advise I would advise everyone to go there at least once in a lifetime.
Oh, sure, sure. We should. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Our next guest for today is Miss Komal Gupta. Miss Komal, please unmute yourself. Yeah. Who shall be giving us an insight into calligraphy. Miss Komal Gupta is an award winning Indian poetess and writer. She writes under the pen name of Tejaswini Aura. Wow. What a unique and mystical name. Very beautiful. She is an avid reader with a penchant for the extraordinary and mundane aspects of life. A keen observer of life, words to her are an extension of perceptions. Komal continues to push the boundaries of what defines poetry, writing with her unique style of narration and reflections. She believes in the power of words, arts, and culture to change lives and impact society in positive ways. Welcome to the stage, Ms. Komal. Please tell us more about your calligraphy.
Yes, thank you so much for this beautiful introduction, Lalita. Um,
Welcome.
yeah, and so I was asked to write an article, so I chose the topic of calligraphy in India. More so because as a writer, writing is music to our mind, isn't it? and
Absolutely.
calligraphy is music to the eyes. So
Yes.
this connection, I this is what I thought of when I decided to write this article. And calligraphy means beautiful writing in Greek, as they say, and the beautiful way in which words are written, cursive, and they make a very pretty text, and it is very delightful for the eyes. And then, as a lover of history, I wanted to see the connection of calligraphy with India.
Ancient.
Where does
Yes.
our country, this beautiful land of ours, which has been an ancient hub of culture and heritage, where does it stand here? And while I was doing my research, I found out that we have had a major influence on calligraphy in India, around the world. Our Brahmi script has been one of the major game changers in the southern Asian region, influencing many dialects, many languages. And the earliest examples of calligraphy come from King Ashoka's edicts, in which at that time, during long ago in ancient times, he had these edicts inscribed in calligraphy on stone for his subjects in the villages to follow the rule of law. So that really intrigued me that this went so far back. We were so advanced at that time. And this should be really, brought out in the article. And so this is what I've written about. And then again, I focused on modern calligraphy in these times. Where does it stand? And there's a lot of good work going on once you read the article. And so this was the basic premise while I wrote this article. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very beautiful article, and I could understand that there is something called traditional calligraphy and there is something called modern calligraphy. So, how do you differentiate between the two, Ms. Komal?
Yes, modern traditional calligraphy is more of a science. There you have to follow certain rules. The alphabet, whichever you're writing, has to have a certain height, a certain way in which the anatomy of the alphabet is written. And the spacing between the alphabets in the script has to be of a certain measurement and everything. And it traditional calligraphy has a history behind it. You have to follow the rules if you want your script to be noted down as traditional calligraphy. And it is used with quills, ink pens, and columns, like they say in India. Modern calligraphy is totally different. It is free version. You can experiment with styles. You can do anything with it, and it is digitized also. There's digital media also. And right now, if you go on to Instagram and search the hashtag modern calligraphy, you will find out how it has evolved from traditional. Yes, traditional calligraphy is not as flourishing as before, it is on decline. Modern calligraphy takes on the rules of traditional calligraphy and builds upon it. So it is flourishing. The young generation has taken it to really well, and there's a lot of good work going on.
Okay, so are people using it as a profession to earn their livelihood also?
Yes, yes. In modern calligraphy, there are different tools, digital tools like Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, where you can scan your calligraphy and digitize it onto T-shirts and pens and sell the merchandise. And there are
Okay,
wedding invitations. In fact, if you look around, we are surrounded by calligraphy. If you look at the fonts on your
yes,
cards, if you look at, even if you're writing on your record on any digital media, you have the choice to take on any font. So that is calligraphy. So that is modern calligraphy. And one interesting thing I would like to share is the name of the modern calligraphy fonts that there are. I just found them out during, they are really incredibly named. One is named Quiggly Wiggly. I mean, you can look at the innovation. One is called Great Day. One is called Special Valentine. Another is called Dom Loves Mary. I mean, this is the kind of innovation that the young generation has done and
yes.
made
So
it
it
very
has evolved.
interesting. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. It is a profession. It can be made into a profession. Only thing that needed is dedication, patience to learn the
Yes,
rules and learn to
yes,
break the rules then.
yes,
Then only you can innovate.
yes, yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Komal, for that beautiful insight. Anyone wants to ask Komal about calligraphy is welcome.
Well, Komal, may I ask a question here?
Yes, yes,
Sure.
please
So,
do. Please do.
okay. So, well, I didn't know that calligraphy is, there is so much details to calligraphy. What we see is, does it look like? So, do you need really an artistic hand to learn it, or anybody can learn it, or do you need a special skill to learn it, or something like that?
No. If you really want to learn it, you will learn it. You will go the extra mile and learn it. Yes, there are rules that you have to follow. You have to learn the basic traditional calligraphy for you to go ahead. That requires patience. If you have the patience, the dedication, you can certainly go ahead. There's no need for any artistic skill. Artistic skill, yes, if it's there, it's an addition to what you're learning. But anyone can do it as long as you have dedication and patience. And there's something else I wanted to share with you. This I forgot. Uh, I wanted to just kind of tell about the pride and advancement of ancient calligraphy in ancient India. It was called Akshara Lalitya. It's such a beautiful name. Calligraphy was known as Akshara Lalitya. And they used to call themselves, the calligraphers in that time used to call themselves as Akshara Lalita Acharyas. Now, isn't
Yes,
that beautiful? I mean,
beautiful.
the pride.
Because Lalita itself means beautiful, and Akshar is
Yes,
Akshar. Yes.
yes. And they call themselves Acharyas. And one
Yeah,
scribe compared the inscription engraved by him to the stars in the sky. Can you imagine the kind of poetic vision that
they
scribe
had.
had?
Yes.
Comparing
Right.
his letters to the stars in the sky. So that kind
Right.
of advancement in intellectual
Those
thinking
days.
in those days,
Days.
can you imagine the kind of work that could be done and
Correct.
is being done these days? That was
Right.
my small note I just wanted to add, share with you.
Very interesting indeed. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ms. Komal. Thank you.
Thank you. Continuing the conversation, Lalita, I have read your article, which is very interesting about the festival,
Oh, thank
Thaipusam
you.
festival, bonding across countries, and it really intrigued me. Just tell us what inspired you to write this article.
Actually, I'm a South Indian and I'm a Tamilian myself. So I have heard about this festival Thaipusam, which is done during the Thai. It is called the Thai month. That usually occurs during November, the 10th month, October, November. Pusam
Okay.
is the full moon day, full moon night, I mean. So it is held there. It is in honor of Lord Subramanyam. Subramanyam is the son of Shankar and Parvati. It is held, and I too was intrigued by the fact that this is not only held in India in Parani temple, which is the abode of Lord Murugan or Lord Subramanyam. It is also held in across the world, in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Africa, in New Guinea, in Myanmar. So that is what prompted me to write about this article, that it is not only held here, it is held everywhere, and the substance is the same. The principle is the same, that they all pray to Lord Murugan, or Ganesha's brother, you can say. Lord Ganesha's brother is also known as Kartikeya or Murugan. Murugan is in Tamil. So that is what prompted me to write on this article, Komal.
Okay, that's lovely. I mean, I've read it for the first time, so it was really an eye opener and a great addition to my knowledge of the festivals that
Yes.
surround us. I wanted to ask you, what was the most unique part of the festival that you found? What really stood out amongst?
Yeah, see, this festival actually, if you go through the festival, and I have also witnessed this festival, there is something called the Kavadi Atam. This Kavadi Atam is something where it's a dance. It's a dance form where there is a canopy of wooden frames which people carry on their shoulders, and they dance. They go on foot. They as in any festival, they maintain the fasting, the spirituality, the not eating of non-vegetarian food, the sattvic food eating, etc., and maintaining that atmosphere of the festival. But the most unique part that came out was there was mortification of the body parts that some people at some places do. They use skewers and they use pins to mortify their body parts of their body, like the tongue, the cheek, And it is, and I was surprised to see that it is also done in Singapore and Malaysia. The same mortification, it is done. Maybe it has reduced to some extent, but it is still done as a form of penance. They go and ask for a favor to the Lord, and then when they receive the favor, they do this in return. This was a very unique part which I have read about and even seen.
Okay, I see. Thank you for sharing that. And another question I would like, since this is a festival that runs throughout, through different cultures of countries, any common linkages you saw while you were writing the article across the
Yeah,
cultures?
I was surprised, to see that there are many festivals which are maybe under different names, but they have common linkages. For example, there is the Songkran Celebrations. This is in Thailand, and this is throwing of water, which resembles our Holi festival,
I see.
and it is called Songkran. So I also thought that it is like our Shankranti also, because it comes in January, and they were also talking about the sun of the Uttarayan, etc., in their like zodiac sign and all. So that also resembled our culture. Second was there is a Thailand's Loi Krathong festival, where candles are floated down river. So this was like a deep dan which we do in our rivers, Ganges or Narmada river. So this was resembling the deep dan that we have in our country. And one very interesting festival was in China, which is not only held in China but Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Singapore, which is the Dragon Boat Festival. And this boat race is a very unique festival held in Kerala. Held during Onam festival. So I found it very common. These commonalities. I was laughing to myself that see how festivals and cultures, they even if they are diverse, how they unite us together.
Thank you so much. I mean, that was really interesting, and it was wonderful to know about these festivals. I at least I didn't know, and so thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Moving on further, my next guest for today is Miss Aditi Lahiri, who has beautifully talked about eminent children's folk tales in Asia. Ms. Aditi Lahiri is an English and French language trainer. She is passionate about writing poems, short stories, and articles. Her works has been published in various anthologies, including Shakti, the Epitome of Power, published by the Asian Literary Society. So welcome, Aditi. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Lalita ma'am, for that wonderful
Welcome.
introduction. So basically speaking, when Manoj sir asked me to write something for the JAACL journal, so I was very much interested to do something based on the eminent children's folk tales of Asia and their teachings. That was because as a teacher, I sometimes I have noticed or I have felt that children nowadays many times they do not connect with many of our traditions, many of our cultures, and they do not are they're not somehow not being taught well through these cultures and traditions, which form a very important and very integral part, because
Of
it's
the
only through,
childhood. Absolutely.
yes,
Yes.
childhood. Because not only it was I remember my childhood days when I used to listen to folk tales, and I was transported to a completely different world altogether, and it helped me to intrigue my sense of imagination. The kind of writing that I do now, I perhaps feel that it was because of the kind of background that I had, the way I had listened to the folk tales of different cultures and different traditions. So that is how I thought of writing about this, and making others realize that how it is important for us to teach our children about the various traditions and cultures, especially if we are in Asia, the cultures and
Asian.
traditions
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
which are
That
part
keeps
of
us
our
rooted, I
culture.
think. Yes.
Yes, that keeps us rooted and helps us to realize that where we come from and what are we supposed to do during a difficult situation? Many times I find children nowadays, even if with a small, very simple, small situations, they just begin to burst. Literally, they just begin to burst. And
Yes.
I feel like, oh my God, when I was young, even I have faced this kind of a situation, but I never did like this. So that was because I somehow used to connect myself with the presence of mind which I got through while I listened to the folk tales. For example, the folk tales written by Upendra Kushor Rai Chaudhary, the story which I have mentioned also in this particular folk tale, which I've mentioned, the
Yes.
humpback.
Yes.
So the old lady there, who is a humpback. So she uses her presence of mind, her wit, to fool the three creatures, and somehow she manages to get out of the situation, get out of the dangerous situation herself. She uses her presence of mind. So this is something I feel nowadays children are lacking somehow. So that is the reason I chose to write about this. And there are other things also. For example, the folktale based in Bhutan, which speaks about the raven and the owl. So in this, the concept is that of
Jealousy.
jealousy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the concept is that of jealousy, because just out of jealousy, a raven has just an owl has just gone into painting
Painted.
the raven absolutely black, which was supposed to be very colorful and bright, as it was
Yes.
mentioned by the writer himself. In the beginning, a raven was supposed to be a colorful bird, but because the owl felt jealous after being painted by the raven, he looked at its reflection in the water and felt that, oh, I'm looking so beautiful. If I'm going to paint the raven also like this, even he will look
It will
as
look
pretty as.
beautiful. Yes.
So
Yes.
how can that? How can I allow that to happen? So this is something one should come out of. Many
Yes.
children nowadays have this kind of situations also. They just feel jealous with small things. He has that, so I also need to have that. So they fall into the trap of greed. So
Yes.
that is another
So that
thing.
peer competition has now gone into peer rivalry. That is
Yes,
what has
exactly.
happened nowadays.
Yes, absolutely. So
There is no
that.
healthy competition.
Exactly, ma'am. So that is how I have when I wrote about that particular story, which is a Malaysian, the Thai folktale based on Thailand, about a girl who wears too many clothes. So this surrounds this is about a girl who literally uh, feels so fascinated by each and every garment that she cannot refuse, but she just keeps on wearing one after the other, and she misses out participating with the other children, other all her friends. She doesn't she because she wears too many of them, she falls unconscious. She feels absolutely heated up. So this causes her to collapse, right? So in the original version, the girl literally dies, but in the later version, which has been written later, in that she is shown as she has fallen unconscious. So but after that she realizes that it's more than vanity, it is friendship which is more
Matters
valuable
more.
in life.
Yes. So
Yes,
these are
so
the
this,
values which we has to be inculcated in today's generation. So I
exactly.
want to ask you that in this world of technology today, in this, how do you then maintain a balance between our traditional values as well as these technology, this growing technology?
Yes, so even in this world of technology, where technology places a major role, in fact, we should utilize technology to make
Positive.
children watch more of folk tales rather than this cartoons and this kind of versions that children are
Yes.
addicted into. I
Yes.
have my own son who is 7 years old. I see him majority of the time. I have noticed him being glued to cartoons more than the folk tales, the traditional
Yes.
things. This is
Right.
what when this is when I started writing about it. I started narrating him some folk tales on my own.
Okay.
Then I found that yes, he was interested, but because he was not told about this, he found that avenue of getting into watching the cartoons more interesting. And
Yes.
because they are more colorful and they're presented in that kind of a manner, they use that kind of vocabulary, the kind of words that they use, they attract the child more. So if
More.
we could
Yes.
do something like that with our folk tales too today, so even folk tales would hold a very important and relevant, they will be more relevant to children even today, and they
Today,
will
yes.
help to and be molded into better individuals tomorrow.
Individuals, better human beings. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
with
I
better
think they have
morals.
much to learn from those, not only the traditional values of Asia or India in particular, for our children I'm talking about, but these folk tales, they hold a very important role in molding them, in giving them the right education, teaching them good aspects.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is how
Definitely.
you maintain a balance, you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
And have you found any difference in the Western folk tales and our Asian folk tales?
Well,
Just in
coming
two
to
lines,
West,
if you can tell us.
yeah, yeah. If you talk about Western and the Asian folk tales, the differences many times is not much, but it depends on something related to their religious aspects. For example, if you look at the folk tales based in Europe, there the number three plays a very important role. That is what I have noticed. Number three plays a very important role because it's close to Christianity, right? So that is how their stories, their folk tales revolve more towards it,
Religion.
right?
Okay.
Yes, towards
Okay.
as they are based towards their religion, they are more into that. But otherwise, most of the values, most of the morals that are preached are almost common, are
Okay.
almost common.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Aditi. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, ma'am.
If anyone wants to ask her any question on folk tales, you're welcome. Okay, thank you. Then we move on to the last guest for tonight, uh, Miss Indrani Chatterjee, who is, I'll call her the Kokila of today's session, who has written about music and has got a very lovely musical voice. She's from Kolkata. She is a self motivated writer and prefers to pen verses and has co authored three anthologies of poetry. She is also a vocalist of classical music and Rabindra Sangeet, currently pursuing the course of senior diploma. She has a profound inclination for art and is a very emotive person. So, welcome Indrani to the show.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this mention, for this special mention. And actually, when I took up this subject, I was not even aware that I was dipping into an absolute abyss of an ocean. I don't know
Yeah,
where to how to
absolutely.
surface.
Yes, yes,
It's basically a kind of historical account, like the way we get into the history of anything. So, Bengal's music is also a vast history. So, to begin with, and I don't know where to end. So, to begin with, I would like to say that it has three principal aspects, without mentioning which you cannot sum up Bengal. That is its palatable cuisine and rich literary heritage, and of course, indomitable musical lineage. These three sums up the Bengal.
absolutely. Right, right.
And there's also a convivial myth that the its euphonious atmosphere of Bengal keeps sprouting in its azure belt and petit breeze. So you'll find it everywhere. Music is flowing
Yes,
everywhere in land, in sky of Bengal. Because it's most of the households, you will always find there's a harmonium, and some or the other is practicing music. That is
yes.
a very common feature
That's right.
of any
Yes, I have
Bengali
experienced it.
household,
Right,
whether
right.
it's a middle class or elite class, whatever you say.
Yes,
So, Bengal has unflinchingly proved its unsurpassed status in the court of world music, and the tradition of cultivating music has been passed through generations. And her quintessence lies in her being extremely blessed by nature's treasure and all significant aspects of rich musical and literary heritage. I would say that Bengal is the most prolific region for its art and culture as well as intellectual aura of its people. And music is the most celebrated passion for Bengalis, without which they
yes,
cannot even think any other thing. Even sleeping,
yes.
eating comes later, but music and literally this thing comes first
Comes
in the
first.
line of preference and priority, of course. So, more than millennium old, Bengali music has become the diversified of so many varieties within. And once you get into it, and you're familiar with it, you will not need to look beyond it. So, from classical to rock, folk to devotional, almost all possible music form is existent in Bangla Sangeet. demonstrating variegated emotions, be it love, sadness, anxiety, motivation, devotion, or spirituality. I have to give some of the written accounts because it's basically a history that I'm going through. So some of the
Yes.
written accounts I need to give to bring out the picture more clear to everyone.
You can just enumerate them. You can just enumerate them and let us know.
Yeah. So when you talk about roles of root of Bengal's music, we see that it has been greatly influenced by Sanskrit chants and derived from Vaishnava poetry of 13th century Gita Govindam by Jayadeva. And then in the Middle Age, saw a mingling of Hindu and Islamic trends. That is also there, a mingling of Hindu and Islamic trends when musical traditions were formalized under the claims of sultans and nawabs, both. So there's kind of an exchange of culture and heritage. So you also observe that devotional precepts in Ramaprasad Sen's Bhakti songs, who captured the Bengali doctrine in his metrical and aesthetic vision of the Hindu goddess of time, a motherly incarnation, Ma Kali, and then is another writer of the time is Vidyapati, whose devotional poetry is an earthiness that doesn't discriminate between love and its kernel and devotional terms. So this is the basic foundation of Bengali music. It is
Yes.
from here that it starts actually. And when talking about the genres of Bengal music, we have to foremostly mention about its classical gharana, which is the Vishnupur gharana, and it is the sole classical Dhrupad gharana of Bengal, and is originated in Vishnupur and Bakura by the court musicians of Malla kings. And Bahadur Khan of Delhi, a descendant of Tanchen, was the father of Vishnupur Gharana, was brought to Vishnupur by Malla king Raghunath Singh too. So these are all the basic foundation, the history of
Yes.
foundation of Bengal music,
So
how it has
how is the modern Bengali music different from the traditional music, Bengali music? How is the modern?
modern
You have
music
classified
is
music.
different because it is now a fusion of many other forms, and because with the change of time and tradition and the social and environmental aspects, the music also keeps changing. So we can say that modern Bengali music also no exception to that. So the new style took root in Bengali culture with many poets and composers combining folk music and raga-based melodies, mixing every common style of music from classical to semi-classical and folk.
Okay.
Moreover, Western influence has also resulted in the emergence of phenomenon of Bengali bands and film music as well. So they are evolved by following a mixture of other popular musical trends or patterns. The latest pattern is the Bengali bands. Okay, we
Okay.
have
Okay.
some of the very popular Bengali bands who are doing very
Yes.
well, and it's basically
Rock
a
and all.
blending
Yes.
or fusion of different forms of music. Now, the latest Bengali bands, both Dhaka and Kolkata, are pursuing Jibon Mukhi Gan, that is song of life, and how life is being carried on. So people are also enjoying that. It depicts the joys and sorrows of common man. So
Okay.
Bengali bands use a wide variety of styles such as rock, pop, folk, and fusion. So they get it all together and they make
Yeah.
their own sort of composing.
So basically,
So
Bengali music consists of all the genres with other systems
yes,
of
you will
music,
get every form of genre
every
here.
form of music.
So
Yes.
once, as I've told you, once you dive into it, that you
It's
won't
like
get to
ocean.
look
Yes.
beyond that.
It's
And
very
now it has
difficult
become
to
popular all over
learn.
the world,
Yes,
especially
it is.
Rabindra Sangeet, and
Rabindra
people have
Sangeet.
seen so
Absolutely.
much
I'm a
of
big fan of
detailed
Rabindra
research
Sangeet.
in that.
Yes. Yes.
Still, they have not found what is where is the end to it. Just one
It
Rabindranath
cannot be.
is
It's an ocean. Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes. He
So
himself
you
has.
have mentioned Bhatiyali music. What is so unique in that form of music?
Which ones, ma'am? The Rabindra Sangeet?
Bhatiyali, Bhatiyali.
Oh, Abacha
Its
Bhatiyali.
initial
Bhatiyali is
form,
basically
so what is
a folk form. It's a folk form of music and is a popular form both in Bangladesh and West Bengal. It is basically a river song sung by the boatmen while going downstream of the river. Since both countries are basically riverine, the Bhatiyali forms an important genre of folk music. Folk music is it is developed according to the natural environment and physical formation. And so, because both the countries are riverine countries and are situated along the banks of river Brahmaputra and Ganga, so these songs became a kind of strength and energy for the boat and the fishermen when they used to go for fishing. They used to
yes,
and especially when coming back home, it's a downstream, and especially when coming
yes.
back
When they
home,
bring back the
they used to
fish
sing
with them.
that to release
Yes.
their stress. to
Trace.
release the monotony of their journey, and also to
Yes.
let people that what are the crises that they face, what are the menace they face when moving through these water regions and bodies. And
Yes. It's like the Koli Geet of
yeah,
Maharashtra.
their everyday conventional life, what all the
Yes.
perilous situations they face when moving
Yes.
through the water. So this song is basically on that.
Okay.
And Bhatyali, the word Bhatyali means bhata, meaning egg
Bharta.
or downstream.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
basically. And
Yes.
it's Maimansi district of Bangladesh along Brahmaputra river is also one to be mentioned, where this Bhatyali is also originated. And this Bhatyali deals with Prakriti Tattva, that is about the nature. Prakriti Tattva means about the nature. And a popular singer and composer of Bhatyali song is Abbasuddin, who has created this very famous song, which is very popular in Bengal. Amai Bhasha Ilire, Amai Dubai Ilire, Akul Doriar Maj, Akul Doriar Pani, Kul Naire. So this is a very
Okay.
famous Bhatyali song. And
Okay.
there's lots
Okay.
more, of course. As I said,
Yes,
it's a
yes.
never
It's
ending.
music is fathomless, so it's very difficult to dive in and get
This
get
little
into
all
it
what I
and
could
get to know
approve.
its depth.
And we also have some of the eminent composers also, whom we actually call the modern genre composers of Bengal's music. Some I would like to first I would like to mention some of the old genres, which are the Ramprasadi, Shama Sangit, Kirtan, then folk music, Jatra Pala, Kobi Gan, Agumuni Vijaya, then Tokpa. These are of the old genres because they are very much they form their own tradition. There is no adulteration in it. There is no fusion in it. They have their own original form, and it's being practiced and followed from a very primitive time, a very ancient time. And for the modern genres comes the Dijendra Giti, Otul Prasadi, Nazrul Giti, Rabindra Sangit, and the Adhunik, that is the modern Bengali songs, as I've said about the bands and all. So these are the summation of modern genres.
So what a beautiful you have concluded it so beautifully, and I really don't know how much we have to learn to go, and it's so fathomless. You have to understand that big, extensive list that you have put, and you have told us. Thank you so much for the beautiful explanation of each and every genre. Thank you. Uh,
Thank you so much,
so I
ma'am.
think we are at the end of our session, and the session will not be complete without the vote of thanks. So I would like to extend my thankfulness to each one of you, dear panelists, for this very enriching session. And today, I think I have learned so many new things from all of you about calligraphy, about a new perspective of Sita, about the beautiful folk tales about Maldives, and the lovely musical conclusion which Indrani gave. Thank you so much. And thanks to the Asian Literary Society, the JAACL, and Manoj Krishnanji for